from this terrorist regime?
James Sunderland.
Madam Deputy Speaker, time is short in this debate and we do need to progress to the end. So I'll be brief, if I may, and offer a pragmatic view. I've listened with great interest to what speakers have said on both sides of the House, and I am broadly supportive of the direction of travel. And of course, we are yet to hear from the Minister. Of most concern to me right now is that the time needed to produce uranium for one nuclear weapon in Iran is now 3 weeks. It's called the breakout time, and it's fallen from 1 year. So quite clearly these nuclear aspirations and nuclear technologies and advancements have progressed significantly in Iraq. So the question I want to pose this afternoon is, how might the UK and other allied states of the Middle East put Iran back on the road to peace and prosperity as part of the international community? But it's also about working with Iran, in my view, and doing what we can to help that regime. The big question right now is the restoration of Iran's 2015 nuclear deal. We've heard it mentioned, the JCPoA. And it's with world powers including China, France, Germany, Russia, the UK and the USA. As we know, the accord was unilaterally abandoned by the US in 2018 by Trump, who then imposed heavy sanctions on Iran. These have been eased since Biden came, but putting Iran closer than ever perhaps to achieving nuclear power. Since 2020, talks have been revived, but intermittently. So we need the US back, fully engaged. And thankfully, indirect talks between Iran and the US began recently on the 28th of June in Qatar, with the EU mediating, and all sides have agreed that a restored deal is the best outcome. But such a deal could still legitimise Iran's nuclear transgressions. I'm also told from some sources that a successful deal may bring Iranian oil back to the market. But I don't subscribe to that for the reasons so eloquently outlined by my right honourable friend from Newark. And I do recognise the counter-arguments. So where are we? Well, early this month, Iran took down 27 IAEA cameras in response to a resolution censoring Iran introduced by the US, France, the UK and Germany. This now makes tracking activity at its nuclear sites much harder. Iran has never been closer to a nuclear weapon. And the stockpile today is 18 times the limit agreed upon in 2015. Iran does have a missile capability, we know that. And in March 22, the Revolutionary Guards adopted a new independent branch called the Command for the Protection and Security of Nuclear Centres. So the developments are worrying. So the question I want to ask the Minister, first of all, is whether we think that sanctions work. I think they probably do, for the reasons again outlined this afternoon. Or are they redundant? Or indeed, is a restored deal the best option for now? Noting that Iran is doing this anyway. We know that Iran has committed nuclear transgressions since the 2015 deal. So what assessment, Minister, has been made of the viability of a renewed JCPoA in preventing Iran achieving nuclear weapons capability, noting again that it's happening anyway? We know also that the sunset provisions of the 2015 deal are coming up to their expiration date. We also know that the international community could be faced with the stark choice of either having to accept Iran as a nuclear power or potentially undertaking military action. These are all very stark choices. Well, how much indeed would we have to compromise to renew a deal that would prevent Iran from getting a weapon, noting once again that Iran is very close to getting that weapon? So, for what it's worth, my take is that Iran should come back into the international community, as we don't want to progress its activities alongside rogue states. But at what price? And we also need to better understand the relationship between Iran and its neighbours in the Middle East. And again, better understand the position of our allies in the Middle East to ensure that their needs are best met. So to conclude, if I may, I suspect that it's pragmatic at this stage to call upon the government to extend the sunset clauses, to enact a stricter monitoring regime, to retain terror risk prescriptions, to reinforce existing friendships and relationships with allies in the Middle East, and to press against Iran's destabilising impacts in the region. But I would want to see a way forward where Iran is at the table, as part of a solution. But of course, nothing should be off the table. Thank you.
SNP spokesperson, Kirsty Blackburn.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd like to congratulate the Right Honourable Gentleman from Newark